Just
What's up, boys?
Just
yo,
watching a little WHL playoff hockey that does not involve the Chiefs here.
I don't
it's
know.
quite it's quite nice,
But
isn't it?
It
I'm
is.
loving this Victory Plus, dude.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's great. I've watched so much. I've watched more like all around CHL hockey than I have ever since.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
I'm
This
pretty sure I've watched like 90% of these Seattle Everett games.
this Portland PG game 7 is tied at 2 with about 10 minutes left, and I think the Seattle Everett game is at 0-0 going into the second, isn't it?
Going
Third,
to the
going in the
third. They're in
In
the
the
third
18
third.
right
minute.
now.
There's
Oh
18
wow.
minutes, 18-minute mark on the
Oh
third.
wow.
Yeah.
And I just got the other one, the Portland PG game up on my Xbox here.
Crazy.
So lots of meaningful hockey right now going on, and here to recap another. Well, I shouldn't say another. I should say a Chiefs' first series win in a long time.
It's been a while.
Uh, since the 18-19 playoffs.
Has it been that long?
It's been about
Yep.
5 years. Yeah, five,
Yep.
six
Wow.
years. It's
Long
That's
time.
pretty crazy. I mean, what a series. I mean, like I said, I did never expected them to sweep, but Port or Vancouver ended up picking up that win in game three, and then I feel like the Chiefs kind of took that personally and decided to just score a shit ton of goals on them the next two games to win the series.
And the Chiefs didn't play bad in game 3. I thought the effort was there. We just couldn't figure out the goalie and couldn't get anything in the net. Well, Portland just scored.
Yeah.
Shit.
That game three was about the only game Burke Hood like figured us out
Yeah.
because in every other game, I mean, I guess game one to a lesser extent because that was what was that 4-1 final,
It was,
4-2,
it
something
was
like that.
yeah, it was
Uh,
close.
I'm off the top of the head here. Um, but I mean, other than that, like I would shudder at Burkhood's save percentage because they just abused that poor man. And I mean, they had to put the backup in three of the five games,
Yeah.
so
Right. Which is
not
pretty
great for
crazy.
him.
I feel like the
So,
Chiefs. I honestly was a little bit surprised after that second time that he was pulled in the series in Game Four. I almost thought they might start that other goalie in Game Five, only because he is an older goalie who's been in the league for 3 4 years now. He's 19 and he played for like
mm,
Lethbridge and stuff too over the last few years. So after Hood getting pulled twice in that series, I was a little bit shocked that they didn't start him considering he. I mean the Brady Smith shut us down pretty well.
He did.
We never could really figure him out. Um, oh man,
yeah,
I want
they
Seattle to win this game so bad, dude.
no, but I mean, Victoria or not Victoria. God, brain is scrambled.
Yeah.
Vancouver, they lived and died with Burkhood, and
Yeah.
Well, and the games that he was on. I mean, he's a great goalie, and he's projected to go in the draft this year pretty early for a goaltender too.
and
Nice.
it's not like he was bad either.
Not at all.
The Chiefs just were relentless, and
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, the Chiefs have so much offensive firepower that
Yeah.
it's hard to stay consistent no matter who you are.
Yeah. Like I told
So
you in game 5 towards the end there in the middle of that third period, I said that I can't take anything away from Vancouver because they're a very good hockey team. We just have, I mean, we're offensive juggernauts this series to score as many goals as we did in most of those games, too. It's just Vancouver's a very good team.
yeah.
yeah,
And
well,
I saw a lot of Vancouver fans, in the comment sections of like Instagram and stuff like that, all kind of taking the same approach that we took after we got swept last year by Prince George. Kind of like, hey, young team, first time in the playoffs with this core, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
back next year. And I mean, I could see it. They've got some pretty good players. I don't know if they have anybody to the caliber of like we have, but one off season, make some trades. Maybe they turn into the Chiefs of this year, next year. But
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
that's to see next year. Not
you have
so
Cameron Schmidt leading the charge for them. That's kind of their one guy that's really going to be kind of a key piece for them, I think, in the future. And if they keep Manny and yeah, I don't want to say Maglio because I don't like Maglio, but if they keep Manny around for another couple of seasons with Cameron Schmidt, he's going to be a first round pick this year in the NHL
Yeah.
draft. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely could see them being kind of a team to look out for in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, But yeah, no, you're right. I completely agree. And I think Cameron Schmidt was one of the bright spots for Vancouver, along with, their goaltending in
Yeah,
that series, because he put the puck in the back of the net quite a bit against us in this series.
he did pretty good in Game 5 too.
Yeah, so game three, the first game back at the arena on that Wednesday. Vancouver got it started early, and it kind of looked like that they were feeding off of that energy that you talked about last week, TC, with that third period meltdown that the Chiefs had, the kind of building off
Yeah.
of that momentum. And they came out in the first 7 minutes of the game and went up 2-0 early. And it was looking a little bit bleak there for a little bit. At that point, I think after they scored their second goal, you looked at me and said, I told you, bro." Like,
Hey, I let you talk me out of my stance about game three last week, and funny enough, everything I said about game three came true. Uh, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
The Chiefs got one back late in the first period, Sage Weinstein getting on the board. So it's good to kind of have a late goal to maybe, bump a little bit of that momentum back toward our side of the ice. So 2-1 after the first period. Rasmus Ekstrom on a net front scramble about halfway through the second period gets the game tied at 2. Nice to see that second line continuing to stay hot. Sammy Oremba and Sarkinov. Sarky had 2 goals or 2 assists that game, and so
Two
did
apples,
Oremba
yeah.
as well.
No,
Um,
that line was the most consistent line every game of the series by far.
oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, really good stuff from those guys, and that it's that playoff experience that Oremba brings. That
I
and then
agree.
the I mean, Ras played pro over in Sweden before he came here too.
Yeah,
So
no, it showed.
yeah, why is my camera so laggy? Is it like that for you guys too?
I was thinking it was.
It's
Yeah,
driving me
I didn't
crazy.
know if that was just me or not.
No, it's whatever. Um, but yeah, so it's tied game going into the third period. You guys have any like thoughts at this point? Like, how are we going to come out and play this third period after what happened in game two?
I didn't expect the same kind of collapse by any means. I just felt like the game was up for grabs at that point, though.
I was definitely in the up for grabs camp as well, but I was pretty frustrated because it I said this to you guys a couple times, but it felt like we were leaning on them like
Yeah,
pretty much the whole game, and we just could not solve or could. And it just turned into one of those funny games where you outplay a team for 60 minutes, but they get a couple rushes up ice, opportunistic chances, and they find the back of the net and you don't, and you
yeah,
end up losing when you outshot them, you know, 2-1.
yeah.
But
They're riding the hot goalie for sure.
yeah, so that's kind of my main takeaway from game three, or at least going into the third period, was I was just very frustrated that we could not get, we got the equalizer, but we just could not get ahead.
Right. Well, we had 34 shots after the second period, out shooting them 34-17 after two
Yeah,
periods. And, in a tied game, you think you put up that many shots, it's like you should be up, at least 2 goals, if not
you would
more.
think so.
Yep.
And then the third period, I mean, outshot Vancouver 9-3, but one of their 3 shots just ended up being that perfect shot that beat Dawson Callan, and the Chiefs couldn't find the back of the net with the extra attackers. So Chiefs lose game three to Vancouver, trying to get back into the series at that point. Chiefs up 2-1 going into game four on Thursday. Getting Andrew Crystal back in the lineup, I think, was a huge momentum boost for not only him but the entire team.
Yeah,
And you
and
could
a
feel the energy in the crowd when he came out on the ice and stuff too, and he got announced and everything too. So
and especially a good feeling for his line too. That line looked a little lost in Game 3, in my opinion. Shea and Burke not having him out there. It'd been a
yeah,
while since they.
definitely.
It's been a while since they'd played with anybody else.
Yeah, Coco Armstrong filling up on that line in game three did a fine job, but it's
He did.
nice that game four, Boyle was saying in the pregame show that it's the first time our full, complete lineup has been healthy this season.
That's
We
crazy.
haven't had any, not have anybody out with injury at the moment. Everybody that's sitting out is all healthy scratches. Um, so you have Andrew Crystal, Berkeley Cat, and Shayman on top line. I think from game 4 and 5, they looked like the dominant line that we saw right after we got Crystal. I mean, it's like they just decided we're gonna take this series over.
Yeah, and it almost like once they were back to almost like Vancouver got comfortable with their line not being full in game three, and almost like it was a shock to them too. All of a sudden, like they'd never met that line before.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think Crystal had a little bit of an extra chip on his shoulder after getting that suspension,
I
which I
think
think
so.
was pretty questionable suspension. But it ended up paying off because he came out and put up a hat trick in game 4. So one thing that I wanted to touch on before we kind of get into that is what's up with Vancouver kind of scoring the first goal in like every game this series? It's
Every
like
game.
it's like we don't come out ready to play in the first 5 minutes.
And
Yeah, we don't wake.
it was always quick goals too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. It's like
Um,
we didn't wake up until we were behind.
and that's I've made that comment a couple of times this year where it's like we're really really good at playing from behind. We're really good at
Mm-hmm.
buckling down and getting those goals when we need them. But it'd be nice to not need to do that necessarily,
Absolutely.
especially in the playoffs. I mean, but I'll say that that was a hell of a shot from Mironov. I mean, Will McIsaac was all over him defensively.
He
I don't know
was.
how he ended up getting so much power on that shot because there was not really anything to shoot at, too. I had originally first thought, Cowan's got to stop that. But, looking back on the replay, it's like there wasn't much to shoot at there. He just had the perfect shot.
Yeah.
I can't really fault Cowan for that at all. Andrew Crystal, 20 seconds later, gets it
Nice
going,
answer.
gets his first goal of the night. The arena erupts, tied at 1 again, and then was it 14 seconds later, right off of that face-off, the bump up shift, Chase Harrington with a nice pass from Mathis Preston behind the net to go make it a 2-1 lead for the Chiefs, and now the arena's buzzing.
Who did that play remind you of from way back in the day, from behind the net?
Oh yeah, it's Andre Roman
Andre
and Derek
Roman
Ryan.
to Derek Ryan. Yeah,
Yeah,
they used
classic.
to, they used to run that play to perfection.
Really, really nice little setup and just a perfect shot from Harrington to get his first of the playoffs. So Chiefs take a 2-1 lead. So, we have 3 goals scored in a time span of about 40 seconds there, 5 minutes into the first period. So lots of offense in the last half of the series, I'd say from, mainly just games 4 and 5, but well, and 2, but um, it's not again. It's nice to see the top line kind of waking up a little bit.
Yes.
Um, Catton and Van Olm assisting on Crystal's first 2 goals of the game. Andrew Crystal getting his second of the night. 4 minutes left in the first period. Chiefs go up 3-1 going into the first intermission. Uh, uh, Much nicer being ahead after the first period, I think, especially after being down after the first the night before.
It's got to be a better feeling for them. Not here we go again type stuff for sure.
A little bit more confidence boost, get the crowd into it and stuff too, um, and it also helps that Mathis Preston gets his fourth of the playoffs 2 minutes into the second period on the power play, just sitting there in that perfect spot. And man, he's got such an elite shot as a
He does.
16-year-old. It shocks me every time, and it really should because I've seen it all season. But it's just he's got such good vision, such good what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, you get it. But a 16-year-old getting 4 goals in the first couple of games of the playoffs is pretty impressive too.
Yes, it is.
Um, and then Chiefs were not done scoring as they would go back on the power play about a minute later, and Andrew Crystal would get a nice feed from Braden Crampton at the point, wide open to snipe home his hat trick, his third goal of the night. Beautiful Selly pointing to the helmet, looking at the
Loved
crowd,
it.
and I got to say, I think that's the most hats I've seen for a Hattie in quite a while
Me
too.
too.
It
Me
was a
too.
lot of hats.
It
Yeah.
was a lot of hats.
It took them a
Uh,
while to clean that up.
and yeah, so you go Crystal serving that 1 game suspension. It's great to see him coming back kind of with a vengeance and kind of putting the team on his back in that game. But that being said, Chase Harrington's line with Preston and Owen Martin had a great line or a great game as well.
Yes, they did.
Chase Harrington picked up those two goals. He had a second goal a couple minutes after Crystal's hat trick that got his second of the playoffs. Just kind of a little greasy one out front. So the Chiefs have a 6-1 lead there after the second period. So pretty much all Chiefs from there. Cameron Schmidt did pick up his second of the playoffs about 5 minutes into the third period, but that would kind of cap the scoring for the game. So the Chiefs win game four by a score of 6-2, with a chance to eliminate Vancouver in 5 games on Saturday night at the arena. So we got a day off between, kind of a little bit of time to regroup. I expected Vancouver to kind of come out really strong in that first period in game five, and quite frankly, they did. I don't think, again, same thing as we've seen all series. It's just we can't figure it out in the first 10 minutes
No,
of the game for whatever reason. Because I think Vancouver was by far the better team in the first half of the first period.
I agree.
Uh you Cameron Schmidt too. I mean,
Yes,
he scored their first two goals of the game there in the first 7 minutes of the first period. And including a minute into the game. That weird cross crease. I didn't think Cowan made that much of an effort to get over there. I don't know if he had lost his balance on that or what. What did you see on that?
I felt the same way. It was like almost like he either thought he was beat or he couldn't get up. I can't tell which it was.
Yeah, I couldn't.
His reaction was, I won't even say his reaction was slow going to his right. It just wasn't there at all.
Yeah, it was really weird. It looked like he just I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't tell if he fell and just couldn't kind of regather his footing, or if he just it didn't, make any effort to get over there. But nonetheless, Vancouver gets on the board first once again, a minute into the game. After that, I felt like the Chiefs kind of started to buckle down a little bit more. Andrew Crystal answering with his sixth of the playoffs on the power play, 3 minutes after Cameron Schmidt's goal. And then, a couple minutes later, Cameron Schmidt, kind of another similar play where, um, just kind of a net front scramble and just really loose defensively from the Chiefs. And Cameron Schmidt picks up the puck and buries it in the wide open net for his fourth of the playoffs. So that point, it's 2-1 Vancouver, and it kind of looks like it's going to be another little back and forth barn burner here.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Portland just scored the empty netter.
They did.
Yeah, they're done. Prince George is
Damn
out.
it. God, I hate Portland. Uh, I'm rattled now. Shit.
That happens. No,
I'm
but
gonna be
once
honest
again,
with you. I've been kind of watching that game for like the last
Dude,
couple minutes.
I'm so rattled.
but yeah, once again we're behind though. Like early again, fifth
Yeah.
game in a row, we're behind early.
Yeah,
Nothing like spotting the other team a lead to start. Every game of that series.
yeah,
It's a worrisome trend
It is.
because as the playoffs get deeper and longer, I mean, like you can't keep doing that.
Yeah,
It's going to catch up to you eventually, where a team's going to jump up on you early and they're just going to squeeze you.
they're going to
And
lock you down. Exactly.
there's not going to be any of these bump up shifts post other team goal, and where we score 20 seconds later, like we did what felt like every single time this period or
Yeah.
this series. So they got to clean that up, because these falling behind in the first couple minutes of every game, it's not a recipe for success going
No,
forward.
like you said, it's going to catch up
Why
with
did my
them.
camera just go off?
Your camera's been struggling this whole
I
time.
know.
Dude.
I don't understand. I need to maybe update my app or something.
Might be a driver.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, actually, no. Is it your
I'm
phone or is
I'm
it?
using my phone, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Everett's got a power play with about 8 minutes to go in the third, still tied at 0. So,
Come on, Bird
It's been a
gang.
hell of a game, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I did not expect this to be 0-0 at this point in the third.
So I'd say the one trend from game five that I liked that we didn't really necessarily have in any of the other games is early scoring. I think
Mhm.
that, especially from our top line, once again for the second straight game, our top line carrying the load offensively. Andrew Crystal's been a man on a mission since coming back from that 1 game suspension. Berkeley Catton getting a goal after taking a penalty about halfway through the first period. Vancouver had the puck in their own defensive end and a kind of a lazy pass from the defender to kind of try to chip it back behind the net. And Crystal read it and picked it off perfectly and backhanded it right on the tape of Catton, who buried his third of the playoffs. So it's good to see Catton being able to score again. I feel like he's kind of picked up his offensive game a little bit the
Mm-hmm.
last two games in that series for sure. Uh, and then a pair of just gorgeous goals from Shea Van Olm about
Yes.
3 minutes apart shortly after
Yep.
that. That first one was a nice little tic-tac-toe play between Crystal Catton and Ulmer. Ulmer's wide open in between the dots and buried it in the wide open net. Just a great little feed to kind of get the energy back. The Chiefs had the lead. So yeah, 3 minutes later, let's talk about that Andrew Crystal pass. I mean, that is just stupid.
I think he's been watching Mathis Preston because that looked like a pass that Preston would make.
That looks like some Patrick Kane type shit.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say I've seen enough. Welcome back, Patrick Kane.
Yeah, no
Yes.
kidding.
Even though he's still playing, but
Yeah.
Yes.
welcome back.
Yeah.
No,
Welcome
that was
back to being 20.
that was pretty impressive.
You know, I've seen a couple of our guys try to make that pass in the last few years, and it's just it either gets, blocked by a skate or it goes right through everybody. That pass was right on the tape of Omer,
Yep.
who beat his guy to the net, and Catton did a nice job of kind of tying his man up there
He did.
too, and made that lane open up a little bit so Omer could receive that pass.
Yeah.
And I had no words for that after that puck
And
went
after
in.
that, I think I told you, I said all three of those guys now have like 4 or 5 points already.
Yeah, because let's see. Crystal had a goal. Catton had the assist on the first one. Catton with the goal assisted by Crystal. Ulmer assisted by those two, and then Ulmer again assisted by those two. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just an insane, and that's all in the first 15 minutes of the first period.
Yeah.
So really good stuff. And so going into the locker room with a 4-2 lead after one, didn't really expect this kind of game to be a barn burner. An elimination game for
No.
Vancouver. I kind of thought that they might come out and kind of pressure us a little bit more than they did. But it seems like after they had got that 2-1 lead, they kind of fell apart defensively, and our top line kind of started exposing them a little bit, which I think is what you need from your top line. And they had been quiet early in the series too. I mean,
Mhm.
our second and third lines have kind of carried the offensive load for the first 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
Um,
But then going into the second, I mean, how good have the Chiefs been in the second period this whole series?
Unbelievable.
yeah, I mean, how many goals have we had in the second period all series? I mean, it's got to be some just absurd.
It's
number.
insane. Yeah.
If they could bottle up this second period energy they have every game and play it that way, I'm not even going to ask for 60 minutes. If they could do it for 50,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, without a doubt.
nope. I pray for anybody they play if they could find a way to channel that. But
Yeah.
No
No kidding.
doubt.
yeah,
So yeah, again, 4-2 lead going into the second period. Early in the second period, Shea Van Olm gets his first WHL playoff hat trick, his fourth of the playoffs. Nice little celly with the fan up on the glass. I don't know if you guys saw that
I
saw the
did.
picture in the paper the next morning.
Yeah.
Not cool little picture there. So another hat trick. That's our third hat trick of this series in just 5 games.
5 games.
Oh, come on, Seattle.
sorry.
I know, I've
Retzlaff
been
just made a
watching
really
too.
good save. Yeah, I'm not trying to be distracted during this, but this
No,
is
dude, this has been a great game.
it's pretty good.
I'm
Nice
really
save.
just,
Okay.
I'm really just hoping this series goes 7 at least.
Yeah.
Just beat the hell out of each other. So after Omer's hat trick goal early in the second period, Chiefs have a 5-1 lead. And again, it was pretty much all Chiefs after that at that point. The second line getting in on the action a little bit. Rasmus Ekstrom with a snipe from the left circle on the power play to get his second goal of the playoffs, gives the Chiefs a 6-1 lead. And then a minute later, Sarkey with a nice snipe from between
That
the
was
dots
nice.
there to make it 7-1. And I think it was after, or 7-2 rather. And I think after Ekstrom's goal was when they switched
They
goalies.
yeah.
So again, not really Burke Hood's fault at all. He did all that he could, and he's still young too. He's 17. I mean,
Yeah.
being that good at 17 is pretty impressive, and he's got nothing to really hang his head on. But the Chiefs' offensive power is just too potent, and
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be a big test for a lot of goalies that we face the rest of the playoffs this year too. No matter how far we end up going.
Hmm.
Oh,
Um,
I agree. We just need to crack down on defense a little bit more.
yeah, without a doubt. I think that's the big thing. It's like, you're scoring all these goals, but you especially as you get later into the playoffs, you can't be giving up 4 or 5 goals a game.
Yeah, you're not going to flat out go out there just trying to outscore the other team. You got to play some defense at some point. And it got better. I feel like game 4 and 5 were better. Actually, game 3 was better too, honestly. The effort was there. I just happened to lose that one. But I felt like the defense did get better after game 2.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so Chiefs have a 7-2 lead after the second period. Going into the third period, Andrew Crystal gets his second of the night, seventh of the playoffs, a minute into the third period. And I mean, at that point, we kind of all knew that the game was over. I mean, 7-1 lead. I made the joke, or 8-2 lead, or whatever. I made the joke. It's like, it's a 6 goal lead. You're not safe. We saw that in game 2. But and right after I said that, Vancouver came out and scored 2 pretty quick ones there to kind of
Yeah,
get back into it a little bit. So it's 8-4 at this point. Berkeley Catton scores the empty netter with about 7 minutes left in the third period. They pulled the goalie a couple different times with 10 minutes left in the third period. Just didn't really have a choice. They had a power play and down 4 goals. You might as well try something. But Catton ended up getting a second of the night and fourth of the playoffs. 7 minutes left in the third, kind of capped the scoring. And with that, the Chiefs win their first playoff series since beating Everett in the second round in 2019.
crazy.
Um, uh, let's talk a little bit about how we were giving Vancouver fans so much shit for not having fans last week.
I'm gonna put my
Yeah.
hand up. That was mostly me. Uh,
Well,
if any of them are happen to be listening to this, I just want to apologize because that was uncalled for. My bad. We did not put up a good showing, especially on Saturday. That was really, really unfortunate. But I don't want to make excuses for the greater Spokane area. Final Four was going on. It
Spring
was like
break.
it was like 65 degrees outside.
Indians home opener
Uh,
was that weekend.
yeah, they got
Start of
bombed
spring
on, by the
break.
way. They lost 8-0.
Did they really?
Um,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So yep, sorry. We had about 4,700 every
Yeah.
game, which for a Wednesday and Thursday was very impressive, and for a Saturday was
Disappointing.
quite honestly pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially
I
when
agree.
we walked in and saw the curtain down over
Yeah.
the 216 sections.
Yeah, Chiefs, what's up with that? The curtains have not been
Yeah.
up on a Saturday game all year long.
And I
They
and I think this is it's all a Chiefs thing. It's not the arena. I don't think. I'm sure that the arena would be more than happy to have them open up the rest of the second level to produce more money in their put more money in their pockets.
Yeah.
Have a bigger crowd. I don't really understand that. I mean, all 4,000 fans that were there, they're the true hockey fans. The playoffs. Everybody really cares about the playoffs if you're a fan of the team, like truly. And
Mhm.
so those fans are the ones that showed up. But it's like even get the casuals in there so you can get at least 8,000 there for a playoff game. I mean,
And
I don't understand the mindset behind that. And I don't know if there's some sort of logistics thing with, staffing or whatever, because that was the excuse that they made in 2019.
right.
And we kind of found out that was kind of BS at the same time. They just didn't really want to pay them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand.
And let's just throw this out there. If I have a Saturday package during the season, I get my tickets in the upper level. I don't buy a playoff package because I don't know which games I can go to, but I have an opportunity to go to a Saturday night game. I want to get an upper level seat that I sit in all year long in my Saturday seats. Oh, that's closed off. I can't sit there.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's not good customer relations.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they keep half of our side open. I mean,
Well, I
And
can tell you
I don't know.
why that
I
is.
was gonna
but
say,
yes.
I think that's because we
Oh,
raised so much of a ruckus in the 2019 playoffs,
And we have a lot of season ticket
and there's a
holders.
ton of season
okay,
ticket holders
yeah.
up there.
I was still in the military, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the reasoning because even the last couple of years where we got swept in the first round, those seats were open in both of those
hmm
series as
After
well
after
after
18 and 19, they
2019.
were back.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't understand that, but maybe somebody that works for the team can explain that to me at some point.
That would be great.
I know some people that work in the organization that I could talk to, but I'd be really curious to know the reasoning behind that.
Yeah. And then also tied to that, walking around the concourse, what's with half the concession stands also not even being open during that game?
So
That
yeah,
I don't
they
understand
were
either.
open Wednesdays and Thursday, but they weren't on
A
Saturday.
Saturday. I don't
I didn't really
understand that.
understand that either. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Our favorite popcorn stand was not open. And I also have to throw out there, looking in that favorite popcorn stand of ours that is closed, there's still popcorn sitting in the popcorn machine. Am I going to be led to believe that that old stale popcorn is going to be put in a box and served to somebody at the start of the next home game that we have?
yes.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just throw this out there
Overtime.
right now. I'm done
Ugh.
buying popcorn at the arena this year
Yeah.
because I
Well,
don't trust it. I don't
they don't
trust
need
it.
any more of our money.
No.
Overtime.
And I don't and
Yeah.
I don't need food poisoning. So
Well, yeah, and that's just I just don't understand. I'm just so baffled by the lack of, you know, seating availability
let's
for
just
these
call it
games.
what
I
it
just
is.
don't get.
We have a coach we brought in. We have assistant coaches we brought in. We have a GM that's successful, and even the players on the team that we've done on interviews, Brad Lauer and everybody runs this team like it's a professional organization. How come we can't run the team from the front office standpoint and decision making in terms of concessions and things like a professional organization?
But you definitely should, and I think that part of the reason with that at the arena at least is that the Chiefs themselves don't own the arena.
Correct.
It's the city of Spokane that's kind of being greedy with all that stuff too. And yeah, it's that time of year where there's, baseball season starting with the Indians, and there's soccer games going on at the new field across the street
Right.
and a bunch of different things too. But it's like
But
you have one of the best junior hockey teams in the league, in the one of the best teams that we've had in a long time.
mm-hmm,
I know that there's more people that would love to go to these games.
mm-hmm,
The tickets are more expensive too.
yeah,
Let's talk about that too. I mean, I understand that, you have to kind of raise the prices for those games because they're more meaningful games,
mm-hmm.
but it's like give us more options. Like we don't get enough.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. This soccer stadium across the street, I bet you they're fully staffed for their events.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
talk about being higher ticket prices, something I brought up at the golf course a couple of years ago too with the city. You start charging more for greens fees and things too. You better give golfers something for that price increase too. You better not continue to give them the same quality product you've given them all along and just charge them more for it. You better give them something for increasing the prices. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so I just, yeah, like I said, I think it's more of a city of Spokane thing with the pricing of, concessions and all that stuff too. With the seating, I'm gonna try to figure that out because I'm genuinely curious as to why that the upper bowl is curtained off because
It's
it
been open for
shouldn't
every
be.
Saturday game
It
all
shouldn't
year
be
long.
for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody within arm's reach you can ask that question to that can give you a legitimate answer and not just I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway, getting back on track a little bit here, kind of went off the rails a little bit, but
It's a grievance.
going back and talking about the series overall, I was impressed with the team's performance overall. I
Me
think
too.
in the series, I was a little bit weary going in just because this team is young and we had those guys that have been there before and been in the playoffs and know what it takes to win and everything too. But us being such a young team still, I was a little bit concerned. And but yeah, you're talking about Brad Lauer and how Cat, when he was on, he was talking about how it's like a professional environment and stuff too. I'm sure he got them ready like a professional team would
Mm-hmm.
get ready for this kind of game, and he knows what it takes. And um I think that they just looked ready to go from the
Mm-hmm.
get-go for the most part. The starts early in the game need to be tweaked a little bit still too, But it was nice to see the power play kind of wake up in the last two games. I mean, we went over in the first three games on the power play,
which is
um,
crazy.
which is crazy. But I think we went 3 for 4 in game four, and then we went 2 for 3 in game
Mm-hmm.
five.
Mm-hmm.
So it started to wake up. We need the power play to stay consistent and keep putting the puck in the back of the net. Be that number one power play that you've had all year. We still don't know who we're going to be playing in the next round either. I mean,
No.
if Seattle wins this game and there's a game seven, we'll have to wait another day. But if Everett wins, then we play Victoria.
Yep.
So we were just talking. We went 3-0-1 against Victoria this year. Um, but Seattle's still a team that, if they win these next two games, I
I'd
don't
be
know if
afraid to play them.
I'm scared of playing
Yeah,
Seattle, man.
me too.
I mean,
They're
the Chiefs played Seattle well this year. Obviously, we put up we'll beat them like what 10-0 that one game early in the year, whatever.
yeah.
Ever since the trade deadline, they've just been a greasy, grinding team that
Yes, they have.
it's like the perfect storm for a playoff run, the kind of a Cinderella story.
No, yeah,
They
it's the
found they
perfect
found an identity.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
the perfect playoff mold right now for sure.
Yeah. But going
Well,
back to the Vancouver series, one last touch. Did you guys have any like final thoughts on just kind of how everybody chipped in and any positives or negatives that you want to throw out there?
Well, you talked about just the youth of this team too and how impressive that was. Throw into that Catton. Catton did not have any positive playoff experience in his career with the Chiefs until this series.
Yeah.
How good was he not really having a lot of positive playoff experience going into and how well did he perform?
Yeah,
Pretty
he was great.
pretty impressive. And then but then also in terms of young guys for me, I aside from all the scoring we had in game 5, the best guy on the ice for me in game 5 and he played well in game 4 as well. Owen Martin.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I
He was
agree.
he
Mhm.
was a penalty killing machine in game 5 out there blocking shots, doing all sorts of stuff too. I thought he was the best player on the ice for us in game 5 and looked just as good in game 4.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, that was another thing that I was really impressed with was, our penalty kill I thought was really good all series.
It was.
We were really good at getting in the lanes and blocking the shots. Those guys were, flinging their body at the puck.
Yep.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when the
Up to the
guys are going to shoot it.
It takes courage. Lot of up to the task there. It's what it takes in playoffs. You're not going to make it very far if you're not willing to block shots. And I know
Yep.
that's a hockey cliche, because it is.
It's true.
Um, but there's so much truth to it. And the fact that it seemed like everybody on special teams was and on 5-on-5 as well was completely 100% willing to risk it all to
Yeah.
keep shots off Callan.
Yeah.
Um,
And that was the number one thing that I noticed from our veteran acquisitions that we've had this year. Smith
mhm.
Redmond, Sam Oremba, those guys.
Oh,
Those are the
Remba
guys that are
too.
going out there. I mean, Oremba had a hell of a series, I
He
think.
Sure
did.
did.
But yeah, you said Owen Martin. I agree completely.
No, he was the best player on the ice in game 5, I thought. He just did everything. One of those guys that just plays a 200-foot game.
Yep. Didn't find the stat sheet very much, but
No.
so he won't get any credit, but the real ones know, as they
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
We'll
And
pump his tires.
we even noticed one penalty kill he out there where he was out there almost the whole penalty kill when he went over to the bench. Pellerin went over and tapped him on the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like good
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Did
So yeah,
sorry,
no,
did
go ahead.
either of you listen to the post game show on the way home on Saturday
Yes,
on the
I
A
did.
radio?
little, yeah.
Did you catch I think Boiler was talking to Catton, and Catton mentioned how it felt really good that the top line was able to kind of get off the schneid that they were on towards the end of the season, where it seemed like every other team that we played put their top checking line on them and they just could not get anything going to save their lives. And that's why the team was a little cold at the end, because it was all secondary scoring.
Right.
And just the fact that they were able to find their game after, I mean, I guess after game one, because game one was pretty much dominated by the second line. It seemed like they were very relieved that they were able to get that monkey off their back and find their scoring touch as a collective. Um, and I mean, can only hope that they can stay hot. Also, a little thing about game two, I'm really glad they were able to spin that into a positive in the end. That was one of my main things the last time we talked, was that I really wanted them to find a way to channel that into a positive thing instead of it becoming this gray cloud over them about, oh my God, we can't hold a freaking 6 goal lead. Like, and it game five, it was kind of funny, like how they got those two quick goals in the third. And there was the one where Cowan kind of just like, I don't know, lost his net or something behind when he was trying to stick handle
Hmm.
behind the net. And
Yes.
then he just kind of like lofted the puck out to the middle, and it was almost like he wasn't expecting them to be bearing down on him, and they just shot it into an open net. Um, and it was right after you made that comment about, oh, you're
Hmm.
6 goal lead, here we go again,
Yeah.
and they locked it down. They gave up those two goals, and then there was the big penalty kill late, where they didn't give anything up, and it was really nice to see even when it was 6-on-4 and we were up by four with like 6 minutes left or whatever it was, guys were still getting down,
Yeah.
blocking shots, risking the body. Because frankly, that's not what they were doing in game two, um, when it was basically kind of the same situation. So they very obviously learned from it. And I think we can expect to see or not see that ever happen again.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
if they're fortunate enough in later rounds or round two to find themselves up big in the third. So
Yeah, and you were talking about them spinning it into a positive. Catton touched on that in the post-game show too. I mean, he
mhm.
Boiler asked about that a little bit, and he said, you guys had a 5-6 goal lead in the third period in game five tonight, and it was a complete 180 from what we saw in game two. He said, it's a learning experience that, it was scary and we didn't like it, but it's something that I think we needed to get that experience and kind of learn from it to make us a better team in the long run. And it definitely showed in game five.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, nonetheless, I think overall positive series. Chiefs getting I mean, what was that top line stat in game five? They had like 18 points
That was
combined or something.
crazy.
Catton had 2 goals and 5 assists. Crystal had 2 and 4. Ulmer had 3 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah. And
That
Crazy.
you sent
insane, dude.
you sent me a message afterwards too. Catton got a shout out because of that performance in the Kraken game that was on
Yeah,
TV.
on the Kraken broadcast, they were talking about him and how he helped eliminate Vancouver and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's always cool listening to Johnny Forsland and Eddie Olczyk talking about our captain. I think that's pretty cool.
It is.
And with that, he gets named the WHL Player of the Week too.
I didn't see
So
that. Nice.
yeah, he got named the Player of the Week. 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points in 3 games this past week. So, really hoping that offensive output that top line had in the last 2 games of the series can carry over to the next round, whether we play Seattle or Victoria.
Yeah. And I have to say this again, and I'm not going to tout us too hard, but ever since he was on the podcast, he's been kind of hot.
That's true.
So
Podcast bump.
podcast bump for sure. I had Shay Van Ohm reach out to me yesterday, just send me a random message, said Chad the man, and I responded back with Shay, Shay, Shay. I said 3 times for your hat trick, and he liked the message. But I said we're going to get you on the podcast before round two, and I'm still waiting to hear back from him. So Shay, if you're watching, we would like to get you on before round two.
Absolutely.
Hell, can we get you on before you're in freaking Happy Valley, Pennsylvania? Like, if you're listening to this, like, come on, man.
Happy Valley. Boys, what are we thinking next round? Are we feeling good about next round regardless of who we play?
Yes,
I don't think they gave us any reason to not think.
Yeah, other than I am not concerned necessarily, but a little anxious if we end up having to play Seattle for some reason, because they are rolling, they are hot. I do like our chances against Victoria.
I do too. And the nice thing is we're guaranteed, unless we play Everett, we're guaranteed home ice through the entire
The rest of
Western
the way,
Conference playoffs.
exactly.
So that'll be great. And I think the only way that we don't get home ice is if we had to go into the finals, hypothetically playing Medicine Hat. I think they get the home ice.
Do they?
But I think I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think so.
Is that based off standings or based off winning your
Yes,
conference?
standings.
Okay.
Yeah, or like points. It goes off points.
That's what
yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, no, we're guaranteed home ice in this next round for sure, regardless of who we play.
Yep.
And I think that that'll be kind of a boost getting those first two games. Hopefully they can come out and win at least one of those games too.
Do we know when the first two games are yet?
I think I heard Sunday.
Because isn't there a wrestling thing going on at the arena on Friday and Saturday or something? I heard.
I don't know.
I thought I heard that.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully it doesn't turn into a arena scheduling conflict again, and we have to start on the road.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't know
hoping
that there was anything going on.
I didn't
Yeah.
I need to
either.
look at the arena schedule, but I mean, I would think that I know one of the series out east. I can't remember which one, but it's already decided they're playing each other. They're scheduled to have their game one on Thursday, so
Really?
I would assume that that would mean we would probably start on Friday or Saturday. I would
Yeah.
think. Which
Yeah.
I mean, that's great for the boys because that's about a week off
Yeah.
of rest. So
Yeah. I thought I saw something yesterday in the Chiefs group on Facebook about there being a wrestling event going on at the arena on Friday and Saturday, so it wouldn't start until
here,
Sunday.
let me pull up the Spokane Arena's website and see what they have on their schedule.
Jay Stewart, if you're listening, send us a message. Tell us when the series starts.
Yeah,
And don't play Sweet Caroline.
Saturday, April 12th is the Jason Crawford Memorial Wrestling Tournament.
That's what I thought.
It starts at 8 a.m. on Saturday. So maybe a Friday night game, and then
Maybe Friday, Sunday or something.
cover the ice Sunday, maybe. We'll see.
Possibly, yeah.
And then there's a Jeff Dunham show because apparently he's still a thing. That's the next major event on Saturday, April 26th. But for that to affect the Chiefs, we would have to probably be in the Western Conference Finals.
It would have to be, like Game 5.
So we'll
the
cross
26th.
that bridge.
That's weeks down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll cross that bridge if we get there. But that you were right about this wrestling thing.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens.
Regardless of who we play, I'm feeling pretty confident. I mean, that offensive output that we had in that first round series was great, especially against a good goalie in Burkhood. I mean, there's really only one game where we couldn't solve them.
Yeah.
And yeah, Seattle's got good goaltending with Ratzlaff, and Victoria's got good goaltending with both of their goalies too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be a test without a doubt. But see, we're about to have puck drop in overtime. Should we wrap this up and go watch this shit, boys?
I believe we should.
All right. I was gonna try to ramble until we could figure out if we were gonna play Seattle or Victoria here, but I got nothing else to chat about. I think we kind of got everything covered.
It's 0-0 going into the overtime. So who would we be to assume it's going to end quickly?
Exactly.
We don't need to waste anyone else's time.
Exactly. So. All right, boys. Well, we'll kind of follow up after the first game or two this next weekend and see what's going on.
Works for me.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a series preview show?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we did talk about that, huh? Yeah, we should do that. I think we should do that.
A series preview show at the end of the week.
Even if it's like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think we should do that actually.
Maybe we can combine it with an interview with one of the Chiefs. So not just you, Shay. If anybody wants to get on the podcast before round 2, send us a message. We'll get you on.
Get a little podcast bump here for round 2.
It's good for your scoring. We know.
It worked for Burke.
Just ask Burke.
Yeah, we'll do that sometime later in the week here.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll set that up. Oh, Seattle just about scored. Oh man,
you're a little bit ahead of me, I think. Yeah, they're on that rush right now. You're a little bit ahead of me by about 10 seconds.
Go T-Birds!
All right, boys. Good shit.
Right.
Go T-Birds. Go Chiefs. Go
Chiefs. Go.
Go Chiefs. Go.